morning. This is Eureka Street Crypto Hub. This is Eureka John coming at you at 6:40 in the morning on March 21st, 2021 on a Sunday. Today we're going to just cut straight to the chase and we're going to talk about AI and blockchain. There is so many projects right now and so many topics that we could focus that revolve around blockchain. And we could go way deep down the rabbit hole. And we are going to go a little bit deep. We're going to talk about Fetch.AI. It's a project that I've been trying to work on and wrap my head around for quite a while. I had to start high level and try to get the big picture. Then I went low level because I wasn't understanding it, and then I still wasn't understanding it at the low level, and I had to learn all the low level terminology, and then I had to go back out high level and apply the terminology I learned in order to reapproach it again. And it has been quite a challenge and a task to try to do this video, because right when I think I'm done, I see something else I need to talk about. And I just had to narrow it down. So I'm just going to give you a broad strokes kind of rough overview of what Fetch.AI is, and then you can go deeper from there. It's so tempting to want to get into all the particulars because there's just so much to cover. But at some point you just have to realize you just need to just offer people where the resources are, and then they can go from there. Okay, anyway, AI and blockchain. When we think of AI, we immediately conjure up images of synthetic looking robots like the one pictured here with flawless skin and soothing voices. Or we think of vicious looking metallic skulls with red eyes like the one in Terminator, programmed to terminate you and humanity. However, a more realistic scenario is an AI that we can't see. A silent, observing network of information gathering nodes that continuously gather and process and analyze data, all to come to a consensus as to the next course of action. They talk to each other. This consensus can interact with a human-made smart contract and write its own new smart contracts with machine learning. A bunch of nodes talking to each other and a bunch of computers talking to each other under the hood without you ever even realizing it. This is a more realistic picture of AI. So as human beings, we're all basically data collection agents. We gather, analyze, and we act upon given data every day according to our sensory receptors: eyes, ears, nose, and mouth, and skin. And sometimes we just have a hunch about things too. With today's mainstream technology, our habits, our whereabouts, our preferences, and our inquiries are being tracked by large tech companies every day by search engines, cookies, and on websites, IoT devices, and many other avenues. And for those of you who don't know, IoT devices are little receptors in every single little thing that we do that transmit signals to be included in databases and in software that give the status of things. And a lot of these you might find a lot of them in places like refineries, given pipe pressure and temperature. You would find them in cars, giving road data and things like that. So Internet of Things is what IoT stands for. Anyway, and 5G would be the technology to transmit a lot of that data in real time. This data becomes the property of the gathering parties, the people that gather it, and who own, and the people that run and own the servers and store this data. The data is then sold to the highest bidder, and it's used by governments. In many cases, these companies emphasize their free product. However, it tends to be the case that if the product is free, then you and your data are the product they're selling, and not the product or service that you're actually using. So if you're using Facebook for free, you're not actually using Facebook for free. You are the product, and they are making money off of your data. So keep that in mind. In this current data-driven fourth industrial revolution, we'll be seeing automation and AI taking over many of the mundane and even not so mundane tasks. That's great and all, but it also eliminates millions of jobs worldwide that bring income to families and allow them to eat and live humanely and comfortably. As unique human individuals, we all have unique human experiences and therefore collect unique data. Me and you, we're walking, talking, nerve endings for our universe. We're collecting the data around us, and as far as the data economy is concerned, we all hold and gather valuable data that can be bought and sold. So we all have value. And so what if I told you that you can monetize all your data and all your experiences and all the data you gather from your experiences? Because as a unique human individual, you have unique data that nobody else in the world has. So intrinsically, you have value. Everything you do, everywhere you go, everything you buy, all that data can be gathered and owned by you and sold in real time. Anyway, so that's pretty deep to think about, the fact that you are unique. And I know a lot of people, religious people, constantly say this, that you are special, you're unique, God loves you, and all that stuff, which is great. But from an economic perspective and a data economy perspective, you are unique and you are valuable and you are worth something. You're worth some dinero, you know? So also as humans, we like things to go as planned. We only like surprises when they're pleasant. When things go wrong, it can get uncomfortable, which is not always a bad thing. However, it can also be disastrous or life-threatening. And what if you're presented with a solution, or indeed the next step has already been changed for you without having to worry about it? And that's where Fetch.AI comes into play. The goal of the Fetch.AI collective learning system is to spread the benefits of this transformative technology to individuals, small and medium-sized businesses as well. This will reverse the trend of a handful of giant technology companies swallowing most of the profits from the machine learning boom. By working together across borders, these collective learning techniques will enable industries to achieve enormous improvements in efficiency without needing to rely on big tech. Distributing the autonomy to get things done. What do you want to deliver? Yourself? A package? Food? All within your own small local network and bought with data and sold by you and the people in your local network. So let's take a quick look here at the Fetch website. Let me close this out. And my daughter made this graphic, by the way. She's learning graphic design and stuff like that in school. So pretty proud of her, proud dad, and that's her face right there. So anyway. Sorry, Chloe. Anyway, so here's the website. Let's take a quick look. As you can probably tell, I had some of that written down, and I'm actually taking notes this time. And I'm not really the best one for note taking at all times of doing preparations, but I actually did. So Fetch.AI, artificial intelligence for blockchains. Fetch.AI is building an open access, tokenized, decentralized machine learning network to enable smart infrastructure built around a decentralized digital economy. Now, like I said, AI is looking more and more like computers talking to each other, and artificial intelligence. And kind of, if you were to walk into a bar and you see a bunch of computers talking to each other and you're outside uninvolved, that's basically what AI is beginning to look like, rather than the humanoid robots. I mean, they're working on that too. As you can see things right here with SingularityNet and the Hands-on Robotics, they are trying to create their own humanoid robots, and SingularityNet is a whole other project and deeply involved in AI, which I'm not going to get into in this video, but I do have another video from a while back where I covered them, and I'm going to reapproach SingularityNet because all I did talk about was their AI marketplace and not necessarily their humanoid robots. But for now, we're going to talk about Fetch.AI. And Fetch.AI has deeply or is trying to deeply entrench themselves in the mobility sector, creating predictive movements, facilitating your travel to where if things go wrong, then the nodes in each agent will automatically adjust itself. Say, for instance, there's a stalled train, there's lots of traffic, somebody accidentally overbooks you on a flight or a hotel, there's automatic adjustments that are made. And then, of course, energy consumption, carbon use, whether or not you agree with that whole program. So, there's just a lot of different things to be talked about here. So what is Fetch.AI? We build tools and infrastructure to enable a decentralized digital economy. Fetch.AI, a Cambridge-based artificial intelligence lab, is building a decentralized machine learning platform based on a distributed ledger that enables secure sharing, connections, and transactions based on any data globally. This network is based around an open source technology that any user can run to connect to the network, giving access to the power of AI on a world-scale secure dataset to carry out complex coordination tasks in the modern economy. On this network, a series of software agents represent and act on behalf of their owners. These autonomous agents work to provide an optimized service across a variety of ecosystems to the benefit of both suppliers and consumers. The system has wide potential in many areas. Financial services users can optimize trading, public transport networks could be configured, cities could be intelligently adapt to usage by their citizens, the gig economy could be restructured, and energy networks could be connected to a smart grid. So there's a lot of use cases, and what they're basically trying to do is pull out this corporate middleman that's kind of developed itself. Now, what do I mean by that? Let me go up here to these images, and I will try to show you. We've had this kind of decentralization and then re-centralization, especially in the gig economy and in the services. When you think about Uber, for example, you had the taxi industry up here, and you had all the taxi cab drivers right here. Everything was completely centralized, and the taxi cab companies were just bending over anybody and everybody as far as rates was concerned. The taxi drivers didn't make a lot, and they basically controlled anybody who didn't have a car, they ran the economy. And then in comes Uber. You had decentralized control. The aggregator has less power and cut hyper-local solutions. Aggregator cut to the local economy, pre-regulated. So Uber came in and it gave power to the owner-operator, and it gave power to the passenger to be able to fetch an Uber when and where they wanted, and to show up exactly when, and to see the progress of where that cab is. And then so it decentralized it. And it decentralized that taxi industry, and a lot of people, the taxi industry was pretty upset about it, but a lot of the people were very happy about it, and owner operators were happy about it too. But then what happened is the tech companies, Uber and Lyft, and you see things like this on Grubhub and DoorDash as well. If you look at the receipts of these things and you see the cut that a lot of these tech companies are taking from the owner operators, and then how much extra we have to pay in order to compensate for how much they take, then it really is kind of like a centralization once more that has happened. So it's a decentralization to re-centralization just in a cloud server. So this says here progress or irony. Is it really necessarily great that Uber has taken over and that DoorDash has taken over, Grubhub, etc.? Whenever you see the receipt, it's like the size of a long CVS paper receipt that could be used for toilet paper. Anyway, so they have, Fetch has developed a decentralized distribution network. And as I mentioned here, it's all based on open source technology. So any user can run this DDN to connect to the network, given access to the power of AI. So you would download this on your phone, and it would be an app, and it would connect you to an agent. And all these agents are independently, they're not owned by anybody. It's all built on open source software. So any developer could develop an agent for their company, for themselves, for their communities. And you would deploy the agents out in your own community, and each agent could focus on something particular, like traffic patterns or weather, humidity, hotel capacity, etc., etc. And who knows? The world is their oyster. So anyway, so that's the DDN. Why is the DDN important? It decentralized control. The aggregator has less power and cut. The aggregator being, for in this case, Uber that I'm talking about. Hyper-local solutions. Each DDN would work with an agent in a hyper-local area built and made by the local people. It would cut to the local economy, pre-regulated. Robustness, it decentralizes the risk of failure. Attack surface spread, no single party can disable the service, reversing re-centralization. And then it acts as an economic Lego. Combine in real time, as is required, autonomy amongst building blocks, real-time adaptiveness. So that is basically a DDN. Let's take a quick look. I have some images, so let's see here. Say, for instance, you would put an autonomous economic agent in a car park area, and it would constantly monitor, the capacity of the car park. And before you even get there, your agent would lead you to a car park that is not at full capacity. And sometimes if you would go to a car park that is at low capacity, you could be credited more. So you're continuously in real time, as you're using your DDN and interacting with these agents and letting the agents interact with each other on your behalf, you're earning fetch. And there's tons of microtransactions, and the agents buy and sell data back and forth in real time according to how you're using the DDN. And as you can see here, here's a humidity tracker, and this is the COO of Fetch, and he has this installed. I believe it's in his phone. He has a little app thing that would collect data and work with the DDN and the AEA. And here is this DDN on a phone in a real use case, testing for a smart city parking garage, the one that I just showed you. And here is the Fetch app earning the DDN earning full credits. And then if you were to go into a car parking lot that is near capacity or almost full, you would earn less right here on a real-time basis. And then when everything's done and completed, it goes back to earning full Fetch token capacity. So it kind of always monitors and tracks, and depending on your movements and the efficiency of your movements, it would track and give you credits or give you less credits, etc. That's kind of dystopian sounding, and it is, but this video is not necessarily about, it can be. This video is not necessarily about the ethics of possibly dystopian scenarios. But one way to get away from this is they claim that it's open source, available and open to everybody, that it's decentralized, that it's not government run, and everything's completely private, and your personal data is not transmitted back and forth to other agents or to any type of centralized server or anything like that. So there's no way you as a person can be tracked. It is just your wallet that goes back and forth and does the transactions. So I don't know how much I believe that. Maybe a slippery slope, but either way, it is definitely revolutionary technology, and your agent is working on your behalf to do these transactions for you and to find the best efficiency possible. So you won't have to be sitting at a train station for an hour more than you have to, or you won't have to be sitting in an airport overnight during some kind of unexpected layover, or you won't show up to your hotel and your room has been booked out in advance. There are, or you won't pull into a parking lot and just driving around for like 30 minutes or an hour trying to find a dang parking spot. And especially if you've ever been into a real congested city like New York City, you know how hard it is to try to find that spot. And then whenever you do find that spot, you're sitting there doing the little Austin Powers golf cart thing in the hallway trying to get into that parking spot. Believe me, I've done it before. I lived in New York for a while, and I'm glad to be back in the burbs, I'll tell you. But anyway, so do I have another image here? Let's see here. Yeah, I do kind of have a Fetch flow chart. This is you can just pause it and screenshot this if you want. It all runs on the blockchain, the Fetch ledger, and it goes through like this truth assertion, trust phase here where it tests the reliability, the security, the reputation and identity service of the network. Then again, yeah, it does test that, but it says it doesn't give away your personal data. So, I mean, there's still a lot of things I need to work out and get into detail, and this is why I'm only doing broad strokes. There's probably a lot of questions surrounding this. I would advise joining their Telegram group and stuff like that, and really getting involved, because there are some people very passionate about this that could answer a lot of your questions. Then it goes to the DDN agents, the one that I showed you on the phone, and it takes care of a lot of these various use cases right here. And then it goes to the peer-to-peer networks, which is the agents, and they all talk back and forth to each other, and as robots tend to do. And then it takes care of the exchange, the monetary exchange, and then it goes back onto the ledger once that exchange happens with the microtransactions. So yeah, let's go and take a look at some of this other stuff. Let me close this out, and we'll go back to the website. All right, so let's take a deeper look over here. Well, before we do that, let's take a look at the team. Always look at the team. Some very accomplished individuals. Humayun Sheikh, sorry if I'm not pronouncing your name right. He's an innovation entrepreneur, founding investor in DeepMind, with a record in revolutionizing trading in the steel sector and now changing the way we transact and travel. Toby Simpson, the guy that was holding that weather humidifier thing, tracker, was producer of the successful A-Life Creatures series of games and early developer at DeepMind. His 30 years experience in software, 10 as a CTO, are now focused on crypto economics. There's Thomas Hain, professor at Sheffield, an established scientist in advanced machine learning AI who bridges real world and academia and is inspired by the opportunities AI brings to modern society. We have Jonathan Ward, a researcher in machine learning, complex systems, and blockchain technology, excited by the challenge of deploying centralized multi-agent systems in smart cities. Supply chain and healthcare PhD in machine learning from UCL. And then we have Mina Minarakova, experienced in managing strategic program delivery, business development, and the application of state-of-the-art ICTs. Worked at Oracle and Europe's e-infrastructure GEANT, collaborated with flagship pan-European research groups in e-infrastructure. So very impressive resumes on these people. That's the leadership team. They have also their developers and their researchers and their marketing and IT admin. They give credit to everybody. So they seem to be a solid team. They are working with University of Warwick, University of Cambridge, Oxford University. So most of this is British based, but it is also worldwide. But they are working very tightly with some very tight and very accomplished universities and prestigious universities. So there's a lot of academic research going on in there, and they do write a lot of papers, almost in Cardano style, to really dot all their I's and cross their T's. So let's check out the roadmap real quick. So Mainnet version 2.0 should be coming out here in about 9 days, I think. So watch the value of that Fetch token. It already has made great strides, and I think it's going to be making greater strides. It's scheduled to be released in March 2021, in about 9 days now. So by the end of March, so March 30th. Includes random beacon integrated with Tendermint, so it is working on the Cosmos platform, and more secure consensus. Beacon World Testnet, an incentivized testnet where FET holders create and operate nodes and become validators and perform other activities as we do on mainnet launch rehearsals. The first part of this, Beacon World 1, has been launched. You can find the details. So that's the ledger, and it's built on the Tendermint SDK on Cosmos, the agent framework. So it's basically there's 5 components. All right, let me go back to my notes here, because there is 5 components on the Fetch network. There is the ledger, and then there's which is the blockchain, the agent framework, which are the individual nodes that gather and collect the data. Like that little piece of hardware I showed you in the car park, and then the little humidity and temperature sensor and the weather sensor on the COO's phone. There's the SOEF, and the SOEF is the, let me move, lordy. Oh my gosh. Okay. The SOEF is what is SOEF? Single OEF. All right, I'll get into that in a second, and I'll show you. Once I show you, you'll understand. And then there's collective learning that all the agents do back and forth to each other to make the decisions based on your behalf. And then there's the token, the Fetch token. So, once more, these DDS, the DDS apps on your phone, it's being decentralized through staking, so no single party can disable this service. I do have a question. Is this really open to everybody? And I know it's open source, but who owns these agents? Somebody has to pay for the hardware. Like, for instance, that hardware you saw being installed in the garage, it's basically like Raspberry Pis, which is really cheap, but somebody's still got to pay for those. Who arranges and controls where these agents are placed? I know it probably takes some government regulation or licensing or something to be able to place these agents in garages and in other respective places. The hardware is generic. It's a Raspberry Pi, rechargeable batteries, mostly inexpensive, but somebody still has to pay for it. All right, so... And anyway, the cost of the hardware is cheap now, but how long until these parts for the agents get rolled into mandatory projects and pork is rolled into the budget? So, a $75 agent in a car park videotaping the people going in and out of the car park could end up being a $75,000 agent before long, as in the case is, government tends to bloat budgets. I believe it was not too long ago that we discovered we were paying about $50,000 for a toilet seat on an aircraft, according to some recent government budget. But anyway, so the SOEF agent is, let me find that. It's an explorer, and it basically tells you where all the agents are. There's 3 in Birmingham, 3 in Cambridge, wherever Saffron Walden is. There's 3 in London. You can zoom in worldwide and figure out where these agents are. And here's an agent right here, and it tells you the address. And then when you log in, it gives you an identifier, and it will time out if you don't interact with the agents. And none of your personal data will be recorded. Here's an agent here. It basically tells you where they are. I'm interested in Texas. Let me go see where an agent would be over in Texas. And you can zoom out worldwide. You can see where all these agents are. As you can see, there's a few. This is kind of an ambitious project. Look, how did I do that? Because in order for this project to really work, you would seriously have to have millions of agents worldwide. These agents would be acting kind of as edge nodes, and right now we have 3 in Dallas. We don't have any in Austin or Houston or San Antonio, but 3 are in Dallas. Maybe I could figure out how to whip up an agent and become an agent here in Austin. I don't know. We'll see. But let me just zoom in and take a quicker look at this. I don't know Dallas too well, but all right, so we got 3 agents here in Dallas. They're fairly close to each other, and let's see what this one is. So cool. All right, so data source weather. That's this type of agent is, and let's see what this type of agent is. Data source weather. Okay, so I guess just like a conversation starter, and to break the ice, data source weather. Weather is always the easiest thing to talk about, isn't it? You just start talking about the weather in order to drum up a conversation with somebody. So anyway, here's kind of the architecture of it. The agent's constructed using agent framework models, peer-to-peer network. They all talk to each other, and they learn. Once you download that DDN app to your phone, you can initiate a session with the agents, and then they all start talking to each other and learning from each other in order to figure out what would best suit your goal. And the search and discovery in the open economic framework. It'd be like, say I need to book a hotel in London. So you would log in, and your agent would go all the way to London, and then it would find the other agents, and then they would all talk to each other. And these agents supposedly are not going to be sponsored by companies like Uber and all that stuff. They would all be independently owned and operated, and not necessarily even owned, because it's all open source, and they would talk to each other and scope around and find and aggregate the best solutions for your plans. So it's kind of how that would work. Identity support, proof of identity for peer-to-peer trust, integration with Mainnet. FET tokens are required for complex search and large data operations to give additional incentives for node operators. So all these agents will be trading back and forth in real time FET tokens for the data that they buy and sell from each other. Peer-to-peer networking, multi-mode operation, specification, initial work, semantic and active design, searching for community feedback of semantic, AI-driven active searches. Q1 is a period for evolving SOAF's current high-performance implementation towards a decentralized digital world in cooperation with development partners in the community. The metaverse for autonomous agents. And then collective learning framework. To help this product roll out, we're focusing on improving the framework during Q1, co-learn user interface, public user interface for interacting with the back end of the collective learning system. So interesting stuff going on there. So so there's this flowchart I showed you. There's a ledger using the Cosmos SDK. If you want to get into all that technical stuff right there and learn how the blockchain works and their proof of stake system, it's a slot proof of stake consensus. It reduces the computational burden of consensus and protects validators from operating nodes at a loss. The slot proof of stake consensus is supposedly more efficient and reduces costs, and computational burden. So I don't know the specifics of it, but there are videos on it that I've watched that try to explain it, and a lot of it goes over my head, to be honest. So yeah, I am your best source for unqualified, unprofessional opinions. So anyway, let's see here. So you would register your agent once you developed it, and you can go to the agent registry, and let's see here. I did have one up. Here's an agent registry right here. Here's a bunch of different types of agents, and when they've been registered, this agent sells data to Simple Buyer and Agent World 2. So I guess these all kind of have the same description. I'm not really sure what these agents do. I will go ahead and click on one just to see here. But it lists publicly all the agents, basically what they do, and so you can kind of have a glossary of the agents. You can search projects and the agents, and then you can, according to skills, connections, contracts, and protocols. And then here you go to the Explorer, and you can see them in action worldwide. So pretty interesting stuff, and they all work together to create decisions for you and to create the most economic and protected path for you in your day-to-day operations in life. And they are working on this right now in smart cities to be able to implement these. And I believe it's in Munich right now. They're working on a possible smart city scenario, and you saw that in that car parking lot. So here's some peer-reviewed papers. I will put all these links in the document in the video description, and as you can see, they have quite a bit of peer-reviewed papers. Here's one, technical introduction. I will read you this introduction because it is pretty interesting. Today's digital world is increasingly suboptimal and feels oddly and somewhat and ironically disconnected given how connected we are. It is full of underutilized assets. Hotel rooms lie empty. Cars sit parked and unused for over 90% of their lives. Half-empty shipping containers travel the world. Overcrowded, poorly optimized transport infrastructure eats at our sanity. Power grids have peaks and troughs and usage that are shocking, and organizing even the most simple thing requires a Herculean effort in hunting and gathering. In short, we live in an increasingly complex world that we must somehow find ever more ridiculous ways to adapt rather than one that figures out how to adapt to us and, for that matter, itself. It's kind of like having a huge closet with a bunch of stuff in there that fits a bunch of stuff, but it's absolutely unorganized, and you can't find any efficient way to dig through and find the matching shoe for the one that is out in your bedroom. Centralized systems are poorly placed to solve today's complex problems as they can't effectively work together to find solutions from the bottom up. We propose an open, decentralized system where large numbers of simple things can cooperate unsupervised to solve problems without having had prior exposure to them. Fetch achieves this by creating a decentralized digital world where a collective super intelligence actively delivers answers to you, a world where information that benefits you and information that might benefit you is delivered effortlessly. Fetch brings the world closer together and delivers power to the individual. It provides solutions to problems that no one has yet dared to address, enabled by a system that can handle huge numbers of tiny transactions conducted by our digital representatives. We don't fix the old economy, we present an entirely new one. So it creates kind of a sub-economy based upon all these agents doing microtransactions back and forth depending on your usage. And once you log in through your DDN and activate your goals, Fetch agents will figure those out and talk to each other using artificial intelligence and machine learning and find the most efficient way for you to accomplish your goal in a smart city. It can possibly be dystopian. It sounds kind of dystopian at times, especially once they start talking about credit systems and getting microtransactions for how efficiently you do things. It's part of this design, and good or bad, this is what it is, and you can take from it what you will. So here's the FET token. Fetch.AI's decentralized infrastructure utilizes algorithms that bring the AI-based autonomous machine economy to life. As the Fetch.AI network grows, an increasing number of developers from major corporate companies and beyond will be coding and deploying autonomous economic agents. These agents have a wide range of problems for users by communicating, trading, and collaborating across the Fetch.AI network. The Fetch token is used by agents to fund specific network functions and is an important means of incentivizing good behavior. Listed below are some of the examples of when Fetch token comes into play on the Fetch.AI ecosystem. Whenever connecting agents to the network, when an agent needs to be deployed, when you use that DDN on your phone, to enable this, Fetch tokens are deposited. A little staking, giving the agent the right to operate in the network. The token is deposited to make it economically infeasible for bad actors to deploy malicious agents. Exchanging value. When two agents have successfully connected, communicated, and negotiated, one needs to pay the other for the data or service on offer. The FET tokens acts as a medium of exchange. Like I demonstrated earlier, accessing ledger-based AI machine learning algorithms. The Fetch.AI network has a wide range of primary AI and machine learning functionality embedded in the ledger itself. That's why we refer to it as a smart ledger. Examples include trust scores, so agents know broader contextual prediction models and are aware of which agents they should do business with. Agents require a modest amount of tokens to access this core functionality. And in accessing the Fetch.AI digital world, the system provides more than a ledger. It's a vast space that represents the real world, but in a way machines can work with and interpret it. Working within the digital world, agents can deliver even more value, to their owners by finding opportunities for value exchange. And FET is the means for this. And operational fuel for exchange. Operational costs on the Fetch.AI network are decoupled from the Fetch.AI token, similar to the way of that of gas on the Ethereum network. However, additional functionality is designed to increase the stability of such a fuel and to address issues associated with high and low velocity economies. Fetch.AI's operational fuel allows access to processor time for smart contract execution and other network-derived services for agents. As you can see from examples, a thriving Fetch.AI network that includes many millions, or as we expect in the future, billions of autonomous agents require a token to enable this new digital economy to function. The token is currency agents use to pay for the benefits and derive from the wider network, which while also providing a frictionless means of paying each other. So members of the community will soon be able to experiment with the Fetch.AI test network. That's pretty much happened. With the network participation app, it's been designed to be easy to use as possible. Simply download it, and sensors on your smartphone are transformed into Fetch.AI autonomous agents depending on the test network. It'll provide various opportunities to see the various uses of the FET token in action. So basically, it's a huge undertaking. They need a lot of wide participation all over the world. This is a massive undertaking, and if it can be done, it will completely transform society. This whole thing about it being, let's see here, micropayments using reputation systems and stuff like that seems a little scary, but I guess they're going to work to ease people's minds about stuff like that. But you can stake your Fetch tokens, and right now I believe it's about a 10% staking rewards for that. And so all you do is you connect your MetaMask wallet, and right now it's only available with MetaMask. So, but the problem is I used a lot of Ethereum getting all this staked. I only staked 30 tokens just to test it out, as you can see here. But you would connect your MetaMask wallet and the Fetch website, and then you would upload your FET tokens, and then from there they would be locked up for 25 days. The current reward rate is 10%, so you can make a decent reward rate on your Fetch tokens if you have quite a bit of them. And yeah, the only problem right now is Ethereum gas fees, getting them up on there and all that stuff. So yeah, you can buy Fetch several places. You can get it on Crypto.com. It's where I got some. You can buy it on Uniswap. So they're basically available on most decentralized exchanges and on Crypto.com and a few other places. So let's check out really quick before I log off here where FET is price-wise. It's at 54 cents. It's down 11% right now, but it has been doing very well over the past year, up 4,107%, as you can see. Over the past 14 days, 40.9%. And then now that it's going to be going out on Mainnet here in about 9 days, I would expect to see a spike. But, I'm not going to sit here and try to call the ball on that because I'm not a TA guy. Anyway, this is the episode on Fetch.AI. If you're involved in Fetch in any way and you know more about this project than I do, feel free to correct me. I will go over any corrective comments and any follow-up videos I do. I do videos every single morning, and let me know if there's anything else you want me to explore on this. Like I said, these are all broad strokes. Let's see how far you can go deep into it by taking what I have begun here. And there's tons of videos all over the internet about Fetch.AI, tons of interviews, tons of academic papers. I mean, you could go way deep. So get started and see what the smart cities of the future are going to look like. One thing that I kind of worry about are reputation qualifiers in order to be able to use this type of smart city platform. How it may create a tiered class society, is more distinct than we already have. So those are just some ethical questions behind all this, but otherwise it does look like some solid technology, a solid use case, solid university and academic backing, solid corporate backing with some of these partners here, Bosch and Festo and Datarella and all this stuff. They have some really strong partners, the T-Mobile here, Telecom Innovation Laboratories, Binance, it's available on Binance as well, Blockchain for Europe, Trusted IoT Alliance. So yeah, I mean, you can't deny some of the strong partners that they have. They've gotten great press on some very prestigious type of outlets. So Fetch has a future, in my opinion. And right now it is way undervalued, and especially if this whole project gets traction, you should see some really interesting developments come in the future. All right, so I hope you enjoyed this video. Hit the thumbs up, it helps a brother out. Or hit it thumbs down if you just hated it, whatever, but no reason to spread negativity in this world. We're all just trying to make a better day for each other, aren't we? All right, man. Well, you guys have a good day, and I will talk to you tomorrow.